Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special Halloween edition of Wednesday Warrior Weekly here on Randomania. Alongside Kit Kat Kocha, I'm Ferran Burgundy, and we have a spooky night of action for you here in Dragon Warrior Randomizer. We've got four of a host of runners here. It looks like at first glance at least 10 who are going to be competing for bragging rights, as they tend to do here on Wednesday evenings. And it is certainly the favorite night of a few of our different enemies, including the ghosts, the poltergeists, the skeletons, werewolves, specters, and warlocks. It is Halloween, and how are you doing, Kit Kat?
I'm doing great. It's my favorite holiday over here, so hopefully the monsters are just as mean as we want them to be.
Well, we will certainly see about that. Now, for those joining us for the first time, the object of Dragon Warrior is for our racers to find to defeat the evil Dragon Lord. They'll need to collect certain key items to trade in for the Rainbow Drop, which will allow runners to enter Charlotte Castle, home of the Dragon Lord. They'll also be fighting enemies one at a time to gain experience and levels to get stronger, as well as gold to purchase weapons, armor, and items to help in their quest. Now, this is Randomania, so what's randomized here? Well, quite a bit. The overworld map, the treasure chest and search spot contents, the town and cave locations, also the weapon and armor shop contents, the enemy locations and enemy spells and abilities, as well as the order of spells that they've learned, although they are guaranteed to learn all 10 spells by level 16. And the Dragon Lord, which in the vanilla version of Dragon Warrior has 130 hit points, here has a range of anywhere from 150 to 165. So a little bit of planning that goes into play here. All of our featured runners using the same name, the capital Z or capital Z, which gives a little bonus throughout the game to their strength and hit point statistics. As the first four characters of your name, a little known fact, it affects what bonuses you get of 2 out of those 4 different statistics: the strength, agility, hit points, and magic points. So a little something you may not have known. And thank you, Game Boy F9. Definitely Zed. And yes, you're an American, and I'm a little bit of both. A little American and a little Canadian. We'll just leave it at that.
I'm about as American as you get, so I'll balance out the Canadian for you.
Very well played, Kit Kat. And also, before we get too far in here, I want to thank behind the scenes Scousin taking care of the restreaming and CyberDark86 on the tracking. And certainly a challenge as it is. We've got 4 runners featured and quite a few more that are not featured, which we'll give updates on from time to time. Now, we're going to be starting things off momentarily. The king will be giving instructions, and there will be 3 treasure chests, one of which will contain a magic key to exit the throne room. The other 2 items that could potentially help them out, anything from Erdrick's sword, the best weapon in the game, to a torch that can light their way through caves, herbs to help heal their hit points, fairy water to repel some of the weaker enemies, just to name a few things. And we are about 15 seconds away from getting started here. Certainly a lot of possibilities, and we'll see how it goes in just a matter of moments, and we are underway. So instructions being given across the board here, and we find there is a bonus magic key and some big bucks. All right, so along with the additional magic key, that means that keys won't be a thing to worry about here in the start, as they will use the key to open the door, and they'll have a spare one that they can go to the back of Tanager Castle and purchase more keys from, and theoretically use that to access the treasury, which is sitting there in Tanager as well. So a lot of things that are accessible early.
Any over-under, and if we get something exciting in the treasury?
Well, let's see. So far, we've got an herb, we've got some big bucks, we've got a set of wings, and I will admit that I missed what the top one was, but our runners will be coming back to that in a little bit. As we've got keys being purchased on JJ and up to NG's side. And we will see here, so it was a set of wings atop, and then the bottom left is an herb, another set of wings in the bottom right, Although it says an herb on up to NG's side, he's actually setting up for a gold grind right away here. As the way that the gold grind works, chests respawn every time you go to the overworld map, but due to the programming limits at the time the game was made, the game tracks up to only 8 chests as open, so every chest open beyond that 8th chest can be taken over and over. Typically that is done, well, by going into a cave, death warping back to the castle, and the 3 treasure chests that are in the throne room are they're noted as open, so you don't take those over and over again. So what Up to NG did was took the 3 chests in the throne room, exited the room, came back into the throne room to account for the other 3 chests, and then opened 2 of the chests in the treasury, and with the 9th one being gold, is able to take from it over and over again to get at least 500 gold per take, and will be able to take advantage of that opportunity to get very powerful equipment such as the Flame Sword, which gives 28 attack, as well as the Full Plate or Magic Armor, which gives 24 defense, and the Silver Shield, which gives 20 defense. So JJ Schmidt wandering out and sees a town east here, and Up to NG being very careful to traverse and runs into a poltergeist, and oh, of course that nearby town has to be Hawksness, the abandoned town with enemies across the board.
Yeah, I don't think we're quite ready for that yet, but hopefully before too long.
And Up to NG trying to get away and uses the herb. JJ meanwhile going for a reset after an instant death. All of our runners trying to hold on to their gold. Looking for a nearby town to be able to spend that money to get some early weaponry, armory, and the like. And Card taking a death. Meanwhile, JJ back to purchase some more keys, and Up to NG immediately taking a reset after finding a fire-breathing metal scorpion.
Oh, that's a rough one. It looks like Up to NG just found out that Hawksness is that town.
And runs into a rogue scorpion, which is a nice enemy to see when you have a little bit of ability here, but yeah, a little early on for an enemy like that, and it one-shots and another quick reset. Meanwhile, Edge Figaro over on the southwest side running into a Magiwyvern that provides the ambush and sends Edge back to the castle at the cost of half their gold. So Card now traversing over, it looks like, to the southeast, and running into a Wraith and unable to run away from it, and taking a death there as well. And Ghost looks like with the spells of Sleep and Hurt. And that takes out Edge.
That is not a fun Slept and Wreck combination to get this early in the seed. They just do not have the HP for that one.
Now, one of the other early issues that they're running into looks like is strength. From what I saw from one of the statistics, I believe that they're only starting 5 strength to get going here. Oh, and the Drakema with Sleep as well. And yes, 5 strength and 3 defense. So very, very difficult to punch out some enemies, as Up to NG heading on over to the southwest. And yeah, you see the different red statistics. That pretty much means that they're below an average start. So suboptimal strength, agility, hit points, attack power, and defense. The only thing that's decent is magic points, and I believe all they have is the spell of return to get things started. Edge meandering through Hawk's Nest and running into a Spectre that one-shot. So Card, meanwhile, chipping away at a red slime, but not able to finish it off, but is just one experience away from getting to level 2. Up to NG, meanwhile, is trying to get to, I believe he saw a town, according to Game Boy a couple of minutes ago here in chat. It looks like Card and JJ looking for optimal grinding spots. Edge, meanwhile, is going to check in Tantagel's basement. And Retro Grizzly Bear, thank you so much for the 2-month sub in a row. Enjoy the Drogon Lord emote and enjoy the various races here on Randomania. So, Edge is meandering here in the dark, at least I believe so. Or perhaps could be standing in one place. It's kind of hard with that particular note here. And oh, wait a minute. Up to NG with a metal slime. Which, if he's able to take it out before it takes him out here, they're not able to run if your strength is below 20. And he takes it out. Up to NG, going to get a huge lead here, leaping up from level 1 to level 6. Look at those statistics, and we've got spells as well. Hurt more, return, repel, radiant, and hurt. Wow.
Oh my good golly gosh, that should help quite a bit.
So Card, meanwhile, getting up to level 2. And you can see the differentiation in all the statistics, plus he has all that gold. So very timely use of the herb, allowing him to hang in there and take on and take out that metal slime. And now going to go right back in to replenish that herb. So I wonder if we're going to have a bit of an unconventional herb grind here, as I think Up to NG is going to go back into the treasury over and over again and keep taking that herb. Meanwhile, Edge still in the cave there, and I didn't get the chance to see what exactly is being sought. That's the drawback and challenge of, well, as skilled as they are being able to traverse the dark, it's not exactly the greatest for commentators in terms of trying to follow their movements and figure out exactly where they are. And for all we know, it's Erdrick's Cave, or the tablet, according to our tracker, CyberDark86. Now, was it noted what was in there? Would we be able to see what was picked up? Okay, well, one of our runners with light will get there eventually, so we'll have to pull back and see. We can see for sure that it was not Erdrick's sword. Is Edge still swinging him?
It looks like our chat is saying it was the stones.
The Stones of Sunlight, one of the essential items needed in the game to acquire the rainbow drop. The Stones of Sunlight, as well as the Staff of Rain and Erdrick's Token are the 3 items that are needed. And it looks like, I think I saw, so picked it up here. And yes, that is confirmed. Yes, we do appreciate, this is in a sense audience participation, as with 4 screens going on at the same time, it is very possible for the tracker as well as we here in commentary to miss things. With 4 screens, 2 eyes, and one brain, it's a lot to take in just for one person. So your participation is certainly appreciated. As Up to NG now getting to levels 5, 2, 3, and 19 on the additional statistic. And another herb, still no healing spells. So Up to NG trying to get over to that town, still has all that money, and it's the town of Cole. So there is a search spot in here that can have one of 3 items potentially, either the Fairy Flute, Erdrick's Token, or Erdrick's Armor, but there's nothing this time around, which means that either the Fairy Flute or Erdrick's Token is in the treasure chest. So that will make for something interesting as things go along here. Now, the item's not exactly the priciest inside of Cole, but able to pick up a club, a half-plate armor, and a small shield as Card gets up to level 3. JJ Schmidt, meanwhile, getting slept and wrecked by a ghost with the combination of sleep and hurt. And having a little fun with presenting a possible 12-stream presentation, which, goodness, that would be almost akin to the NFL Red Zone or something along those lines. And Up to NG taking a death to a green dragon, and I would imagine not resetting here. Of course. Alrighty, Edge Figaro back in Hawksnest, looking to see if perhaps can, if nothing else, get a little information, perhaps find a grindable enemy. Now, with 5 strength, it's a bit of a challenge trying to take out a magician, as with 12 hit points and you doing an average of 0 to 1 hit point of damage, you've got to basically win 12 coin flips before the magician takes out your takes your points here. As now Up to NG confirming that in the basement was the tablet cave with the Stones of Sunlight, so he now picks them up. And apparently Robo Burgundy is back.
That's just your Halloween costume this year, right?
Yes, apparently I'm dressed as Robo Burgundy. Although if that's the case, then apparently it's been Halloween at least 50 times this year already.
I mean, I'm a cosplayer, so every day is Halloween if you're doing it right.
There certainly is some validity to that. So, Edge looking to change up the build, perhaps, re-entering a different name here. And meanwhile, we have a red dragon with the spell of Hurtmore as the guardian in Hawksnest.
Oh goodness, it seems like it might be a while before we find out what's at that search spot.
Just a bit. Meanwhile, Card taking a death to that fire-breathing metal scorpion that has the Dragon Lord 2 breath. And G gonna head back on to the castle.
So I was having stream problems for a little bit there. Have we had any towns other than Hawksnest found?
Well, there was the town of Cole.
Oh, right, I do remember that because we saw that the search spot was empty. And we talked about the chests, so that should be an interesting development.
Most certainly should here. Yeah, for those just joining us as we're 18 minutes in here, huge leap from up to NG, running into a metal slime and being able to take it out, leaping from level 1 to level 6 in one fell swoop.
And it looks like we have Card catching up a little bit level-wise, just hitting 6 there.
Yeah, once the statistics start to build up a little bit, it tends to... The catch-up tends to occur. It's just a matter of getting started. As Edge finally getting to level 2, and that 5 power essentially doubling his strength would be a 15. And meanwhile, up to NG, back into Cole, perhaps to stay at the inn and do a little bit more exploration. Already up to level 8 at this point.
Oh darn, looks like a golem got the better of Nest Cardinality down there.
Yeah, Golem, one of the tougher enemies in the game, and having to hurt will certainly help. And noting in chat that, I mean, there's a reason that Nest Cardinality is one of the perennial top runners in Dragon Warrior Randomizer. He is good at efficiently finding ways to gain experience points.
Yeah, it seems like right now that's definitely up there in the importance, being able to branch out a bit more and find some of the towns and items that we just don't have marked off yet.
Yes, all told, outside of Sherlock Castle, there are 23 different treasure chests in the game. And ooh, Edge running into a Spectre that has the combination of Sleep and Hurt More.
Seems like the Dragon Lord was going hard on the magic lessons with this one.
I'm just trying to keep track here. So far we've seen Spectres with Hurt More, seen Golems with Hurt More.
The Red Dragon had Hurt More.
Hurt More. My goodness.
Yeah, I think we've seen 2 ghosty types now with that Hurt More, so they're in full effect this Halloween.
But that, with the early levels, have certainly been a lot. And Card trying to get away from the Red Dragon, but having none of it, attacking for 50. And the update offspring, WMP8 is already level 9, up to NG, not too far from it. So apparently plentiful levelings going on off stream as well as on here, as Card now getting up to level 7. And seems to be finding a nice grind spot here in Hawksness. Now utilizing that Hurt More spell and taking out those Spectres before it can use any of that nastiness.
Yeah, the level 6 Hurt More was definitely the one saving grace these guys have had. Once they get there, it'll be a little easier to one-shot these enemies.
And there's the spell of Heal More at level 9 for up to NG. A very nice gain of agility in that level. And JJ Schmidt trying to... Well, he's trying to get away from the Red Dragon and has just tried to attack it for lack of better options and is going to take the Death Ward back. Meanwhile, Edge up to level 6. And up to NG, finding another town, and it is Breckenary, also known as Six Town because of the inexpensive inn, the least expensive in the land. And he finds a silver shield, so that's going to add 20 defense points to the total. So Breckenary, much more useful than a lot of people give it credit for this seed, as usually they just pop in, stay at the end, and pop out if they even do that much. And there's a cave just to the west, and it is the Rainbow Drop Cave. That's where our runners will trade in all of those items to acquire the Rainbow Drop to access Sherlock Castle. It's also known as the Jerk Cave among the community because, well, if you don't have all those respective items, the Staff of Rain, the Stones of Sunlight, and most specifically the Erdrick's Token, he will literally kick you out of the cave like the jerk that he is.
And it looks like we've got Swamp South now in up to NG's side of things.
Yeah, Swamp Cave, there's 2 entrances to it, and it's almost like a path or a passageway. So what will be on the other side is yet to be determined. If our runners had the spell of Outside, a little known fact, they can cast Outside to head from one side to the other, and oh, well, Edge has found at least the north end of Swamp Cave and runs into a stone man and quickly runs away from it. Stone men less than ideal because of the high hit points that they have. And up to NG, going to give it a look as well, as now Edge getting up to level 7.
Looks like we just got to level 7 over at JJ Smith's window too. He's grinding up some of the enemies in Hawksness, which has seemed to be a popular spot this run.
And Chad asking with Hurtmore, is it possible to grind? Given the two different locations where there are spike tiles or enemies that you can encounter over and over again, neither of them are very susceptible to Hurtmore. The Snowman and the Red Dragon, so neither of those are ideal grind spots right now. And another question, if the Silver Shield reduces any kind of damage, it does not. All it does is it adds 20 defense to your total. You're thinking of either the Magic Armor or Erdrick's Armor, which does reduce the Hurtmore spell by 1/3. Or the spells of Hurt and Hurtmore by 1/3, I should say. Yeah, the shields, there are no special anything to the shields other than the defense that they give. The small shield for 4 defense, the large shield for 10, and the silver shield for 20. But those 20 can be very crucial, as Gameboy F9 noting in chat, in the dive through Charlotte Castle, having that extra defense to withstand the damage from some of the tougher enemies in the game. It can make or break a seed.
Very true. You want that defense break on the higher caliber enemies as soon as possible to get that dive underway.
So up to NG is back in the cave and is opting to play the odds as far as the Hurtmore spell. Now, generally with the Hurt or Hurtmore spell, it's pretty much a coin flip, as they have a resistance of anywhere between 7, or like about 7 out of 16, as card finding the Stones of Sunlight Cave, which has some big bucks to it. And up to NG is going to rescue the princess, and I would imagine is going to tour around with her looking for the town of Cantlin to see whether or not she will be needed. As her function in the game here, along with, well, being a damsel in distress who, in this case, apparently needs rescuing, in this particular, in this form of the game, what will happen is if you take her back to the castle, she will give you an item known as Waylon's Love, which if you use it as an item, she will let you know how many experience you need to get to the next level, and moreover, she will let you know in the overworld how many paces she is in 2 cardinal directions from the castle, north, south, east, or west, which is important because there generally is a search spot on the overworld where it is a certain number of paces in those 2 cardinal directions, so you'll have to search to find a particular item. We know not yet if there are coordinates, but it is fairly likely that there will be.
Isn't it guaranteed since we had coal as an empty spot?
Not necessarily. If the only item that is guaranteed to be in a search spot is Erdrick's Armor. Erdrick's Token and the Fairy Flute could both be in treasure chests, which, if, let's say, Erdrick's Armor is being guarded by that red dragon, and the other 2 items are in chests, then it is possible for there to be no overworld spot.
Oh, okay. I was forgetting that the flute could be in a chest, too.
Yeah, there have been seeds where both have occupied treasure chests, and the thing to note is I guess the key item to be able to make that determination is if you see a cursed belt, as cursed belts are, they're replaced by those items if they're in chests. So if you find a cursed belt, you know that at least one item, or at least 2 out of the 3 items, are in their search spot locations. If you find 2 cursed belts along the way, then you know that all 3 spots are in their search locations. Up to NG, meanwhile, having dropped off the princess, so acquiring Gwaelin's love, and is at some point going to look for Cantlin, the town of Cantlin, to be able to find the old man to provide the coordinates. Meanwhile, Card has found the town of Cole and is going to purchase a half plate, as Up to NG is going to pick up some big bucks. And JJ Schmidt purchasing and putting on a dragon scale. Now, there's a question in chat about how many different protagonist sprites there are in the randomizer, and there are quite a few, as Sukiya notes in chat here. I'm working on getting a count here of exactly how many, but you can play as characters from Dragon Warrior 1 through 4, as well as some Final Fantasy 1 sprites, also Mario, Luigi, and Link, just to name a few.
With a cursory look at my randomizer, which I totally didn't just have up all the time, it looks like there's around 50.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the challenge level 1, 2, and 5 is. I haven't experimented with that, but there's definitely 47 different sprites, at least for the moment. And we have the town of Rimmeldar, which generally is exciting for having keys and not much new in the equipment shop. But we are going to see what is behind the double locked doors here on Up to NG's side, and it is more big bucks. And Zukiya, yes, there is a runner, Jay Coper, who does use his own customed Trogdor sprite from Homestar Runner fame. So Up to NG going to re-up on some keys, as Card now going to get to level 10. And we mentioned the experience earlier has now surpassed Up to NG in terms of experience. And has also found the town of Rimmeldar, a little virtual high five between Up to NG and Nest Cardinality. And we have the town of Garenham on Up to NG's side. So that'll be access to 3 treasure chests behind a locked door. As JJ Schmidt taking a death and is back in the castle. Edge, meanwhile, doing some wandering and has found a cave. And it is the Mountain Cave. And opts out for the moment, as there is a town just to the west, and it's Cantlin. Meanwhile, there's the Silver Harp in Garenham, which Up to NG is going to pick up. After emptying some of the inventory, we've also got a torch. And Edge, meanwhile, looking for some coordinates. And we've got a fairy water in Garenham as well. So in a matter of moments here, Edge will give us the potential coordinates that are here in this seed. Trying not to walk onto that brick. And in the back of Garenham, we have the Staff of Rain Cave. We do have coordinates 37 north. And I believe that is 3 to the west.
Nice coincidence up there for everyone that Garanham had the harp and the Staff of Rain Cave.
Yeah, not too long of a walk. Very convenient in that regard. In that the silver harp is traded in for the Staff of Rain, so I guess the man didn't feel like leaving the basement.
Oh, come on, he's old. He probably couldn't handle the stairs.
Well, either that or perhaps he was waiting for nighttime and realizing that this game doesn't have a nighttime function. That wouldn't come in until Dragon Warrior 3.
Of course not. We'd never be able to see these demon knights in the dark.
Which does make for an interesting concept when they show up in caves.
I think every single randomizer runner has had that confusion over the random black screen their first time.
And chat noting of Skousen, our restreamer here, noting that it was night all the time in the Dragon Warrior 1 section of Dragon Warrior 3. Spoilers. Well, it's been almost 30 years. I don't think we can spoiler alert or anything of that nature. But so yeah, I guess that made up for it, having it night all the time to make up for it being day all the time here.
So I'm assuming that means that Alfgard is near the North or South Pole?
I don't know. Geography was never my strong suit. That's why I couldn't tell you where any of these things are on the map. So we've got JJ in Hawksness. At level 9, we've got Edge. Looks like trying to perhaps grind around the mountain cave, I think that is. Yes, that is the mountain cave. Meanwhile, Cardin up to NG, both at level 10 and getting some exploration in. And Card is going to get back to Garanham, as is up to NG. So in the mountain cave, Edge finding the fairy flute. And is just 3 experience away from level 10. And Edge, a little perplexed on which stairs to traverse, is going to head on back here and take the path down to get to the second part of the cave.
So I believe since we just found the flute, then that means that the red dragon in Hawksness is guarding nothing, correct?
That is yet to be determined. If we find Erdrick's token in the chest, then yes, there would be nothing in that guardian spot. Oh, wow. Armored Knights with Sleep and Dragon Lord 2 Breath. And it roasts both Edge and up to NG. And Metal Scorpion now with the Dragon Lord Breath as well. So Edge getting roasted here. Delta, to answer your question, the coal search spot has nothing. We know that the overworld spot has something, but we know not yet what it is. And the fairy flute is in a treasure chest. It was inside of the mountain cave. So it is possible that the search spot in Hawksness may have something, but it may not. But we know that there definitely is something in the overworld, whether it's Erdrick's armor or Erdrick's token. And Edge getting to level 10. But if Edge is counting toward the south, but the directions are north, I'm kind of curious how that's going to work here. Card meanwhile taking a death. JJ traversing from the castle. Oh, I wonder if Edge was counting south instead of north.
Oh, sorry about that. I said, oh, I hope not. That's always rough when you're walking in circles trying to find that item.
I think that's the case, because Edge was walking south a lot. I wonder if perhaps those cardinal directions were perplexed and perhaps going south instead of north. So Edge, it looks like, is going to be combing the forest for a little while as opposed to combing the desert and not finding anything, just like in the movie Spaceballs.
I guess the plus is he's got a really good Hurtmore enemy down there and those rogue scorpions.
Yeah, that will certainly help, as Up to NG now picking up a broadsword here in Cantlin. And I would imagine, if hasn't already, is going to go ahead and pick up those coordinates. And Delta Angel Fire noting in chat that the search spot might be across the water, as I don't think from the castle. I'll have to wait until somebody gets back there, but I don't know if our runners can go 37 paces north without crossing over to the other side of the swamp cave.
That might make our GPS in distress a bit of a necessity this seed then.
Very possibly, as Up to NG, already having rescued the princess, is now going to get those coordinates. And here at the 45-minute mark, you can see these statistics. Strength still fairly low. The hit points, not exactly ideal, but you can see a huge jump from 10 to 11 that we had missed along the way. A 37 hit point jump. So level 11 is crucial, if for no other reason that our runners won't take an instant death anytime an enemy uses that Dragon Lord 2 breath. And also of note, as our tracker CyberDark86 mentioned, that Edge had decided to switch things up along the way to perhaps get a little bit of a strength and agility boost in the very beginning, but at the cost of it later in the seed, and is now on the ever-rare hit point magic point build. So those are going to be the two bonuses that Edge will get along the way, which is why already at level 10 has 103 magic points. So now up to NG is in the mountain cave, as is Card. So he's going to pick up his fairy flute. And runs into a gold man, runs away from it. We've got a magic key. Edge picking up some big bucks in the Stones of Sunlight Cave. We've got a death necklace. Debating what to trade away, and also another magic key.
And chat is just now saying that Hawksness has the token. Apparently WMD just picked it up.
So a little bit of advanced knowledge there. And Edge now in Garen's Graves, which has access to another 5 treasure chests. 3 of which have big bucks, an herb, and a cursed belt.
So like you were saying earlier, that confirms that all the remaining search spots will be full.
Yes, so based on the information provided, that would have confirmed that, yes, Erdrick's token and Erdrick's armor are in the 2 remaining search spots, one in Hawksness and the other in the overworld. So yes, with that confirmation from Delta Angel Fire in chat, that means that overworld spot, 37 paces north and 3 paces west of the castle, will have Erdrick's armor, the best armor in the game. Up to NG, meanwhile, heading back into Hawksness, and is going to try his luck on the Red Dragon. Ooh.
But we're a bit lucky that he seems to have Stop Spell, which takes up some attack rounds.
But not quite having the firepower as of yet with that still fairly low strength.
Luckily, he didn't have too far to go.
And up to NG, going to go right back on into Hawksness and give that another try. Meanwhile, here comes level 11 for JJ. 11 power, 4 speed. There's that 37 hit points and 5 MP. So there's a nice bit of breathing room.
Oh no, I didn't see that the AKs had sleep.
Yeah, the Armored Knights with what is known in the community as the Wombo combo of Sleep and the Dragon Lord Two Breath. That is going to make Charlotte Castle rather daunting and haunting.
Seems appropriate for the spookiest night of the year.
Gotta sneak the holiday puns in where I can.
And we appreciate it every time.
So, up to NG is opting to hold off, and yeah, in taking a look, it looks like there's not really a way to go just north, so it looks like the princess is going to be required, and I would imagine perhaps up to NG going to look for that swamp cave and head on over to the other side. Now, Card, it looks like, is counting out also. Or at least was. And now up to NG on the other side, and 18 and 65, so, either way, it looks like it's going to be a bit of a walk. So it looks like Tanagel Castle might be on the southern end of the continent, this particular seed. JJ taking another death. And heads back on out. So in terms of searchable treasure chests here, not too many left. Just the two deep into Garen's grave, the only ones not yet accounted for by any of our runners here. So as far as Erdrick's sword, the best weapon in the game, there's only, at this point, there are only 9 unaccounted for treasure chests in which it might be, and 7 of those are in Sharlock Castle. So Edge finally getting down to that last chest and seeing that it's gold and doesn't have outside yet, so he's going to have to take a long walk back, although could potentially set up for that gold grind as well. JJ, meanwhile, has dispatched of the Stone Man. Is able to get away from the golem and acquires the princess.
And we've got Nescard down there working on the red dragon to hopefully pick up that token.
He's doing a good job of chipping away at it. Has a lot of heal mores at his disposal. So just plugging away despite getting just slaughtered with every attack, and just hoping that Stop Spell and Hurt More can be cast using that Stop Spell on the red dragon. But it seems to be attacking more than it's casting spells.
Darn, and you can really see that low strength skill point.
Oh, but he gets a critical hit! And he's able to take it out. And there is Erdrick's token on Card's side. So Card has all of the essentials. And can trade in for the rainbow drop. And yet, chat noting, having to make do with just a copper sword, that out of the 7 weapons in the game, that is the only the 5th best. Only a quarter of the power of Erdrick's sword.
Yeah, I'm assuming the 3 of our runners still on the copper sword are probably going to want an upgrade before diving, because it looks like, from what I see, that's where Erdrick's sword's going to be this run.
Well, there is a roughly 78% likelihood of that, as the 7 chests in Sharlock are still unaccounted for, as are the 2 treasure chests deep in Garen's grave. And here is the token on up to NG's side.
And it looks like Edge Figaro just found Garenham. I don't know if he had before. So we'll be getting the harp and trading it in for the Staff of Rain there.
So that's one thing off the checklist there.
And it's just a matter of a little red dragon. I mean, that's not a big deal.
I suppose not.
Not like it's the strongest enemy in the game other than the final boss with Hurt More.
Well, there is Card acquiring the Rainbow Drop here just under an hour into this race. And right behind him is up to NG, also getting the Rainbow Drop. JJ Schmidt, meanwhile, working on the Red Dragon in Hawksness. Now, it kept looking like Card was counting the directions, but it could just be a little bit of... I don't know if there's any walker and counter manipulation that can go on. I mean, I would imagine with everything being randomized, it'd be a hard thing to figure out. But, yeah, I don't think that there was the ideal wanting to encounter an Armored Knight, considering how pesky they are this seed. And there's level 13 for Card. And up to NG working on grinding, seeing the Axe Knights right here, not a bad play. Axe Knights are generally the ideal enemy that you want to grind, especially if they're in one of those spike tiles, as more often than not you can take them out with one casting of Hurt More, and they're a pretty quick 130 experience, which will allow your levels to shoot up rather quickly.
And it looks like we've got Erdrick's armor down in Nest Cardinality Square. It was in the middle of the woods.
So Card with Erdrick's armor, the best armor in the game that has so many functions. It almost sounds like I'm doing an infomercial explaining them all. Not only does it give you 28 defense points, but it also allows you to take no damage in swamp tiles or barrier tiles. It also, instead of taking 2 damage for each swamp tile and 15 for every barrier tile, it also reduces the damage done by the Hurt or Hurt More spells, as well as the Dragon Fire and Dragon Lord Breath by 1/3. It also negates the Spell of Stop spell, so if an enemy attempts to cast it, it'll not have an effect on you. And for every step that you walk, it heals 1 hit point. And yes, as I was saying that, I was thinking, do I want to do the but wait, there's more, but ETAP has me covered in chat. Thank you so much.
So basically what this boils down to is the real legendary hero was the blacksmith that made Erdrick's armor.
That is an interesting take that somehow got erased in the memory of Dragon Warrior lore, I suppose. And no, Busmaster, we can't triple the offer and give 3 Erdrick's armors for the price of 1. Meanwhile, here in the grave, we have gold in the chest midway into the grave. So now it's down to a 1 in 8 chance. Either deep in the grave is Erdrick's sword, or it is somewhere in Charlotte Castle. With 2 hit points, Card able to cast Hurt More and hang on against that Armored Knight. And now 1 chest to go here. Edge just a step or 2 away, and it is an empty chest, which means it was an herb because his stock was fully up on herbs. So that means I guess we have a pyramid guessing game tonight, as one of these 6 chests that happen to be shaped like a pyramid deep in Charlotte Castle, or perhaps the vanilla spot could have Erdrick's sword. Now, the reason we call it the pyramid game is that it's shaped a lot like the old, well, X $1,000 pyramid game show. So you can kind of use those figurative price dollar amounts as your guesses as well. And already the guesses coming in fervently here. I'll try to jot them down as best I can. Delta, we got you down for vanilla. Cyberdark, our tracker, going with middle right, 250 chest. Sukiya with vanilla. As is Game Boy F9. Yes, the 25,000 gold Erdrick Sword Pyramid.
Personally, I don't think I've seen a vanilla in forever and a day, so that's my guess.
And Seeding going for middle, which, based on their shapings, that would essentially be middle right, which would be the 250 chest. Got it. So a little added excitement and bragging rights to come a little bit later here in the seed. And Retro, yep, I've got you here for the 150 chest in the bottom right. And Zoran, we got you for the top chest, the 300 chest. Meanwhile, our runners... well, Edge, it looks like, is back in Tablet Cave. Unless Edge never got it earlier on, but now has these Stones of Sunlight. So among our runners here, experience-wise, it's a pretty close race between Card and up to NG, as they are both hovering around 5,000 experience. Up to NG, getting pretty close to where the search spot for the armor would be. Edge going to level 13. And acquires Erdrick's token. Looking to take the search spot. If I had $1 for every time that I did something along those lines, I probably could be close to that $25,000 pyramid. Either trying to take a search spot, search a treasure chest, take the stairs, using the stairs in front of a door, all those different cross-ups.
I think my worst is always remembering which commands are directional. Talking to thin air is definitely a common occurrence.
Oh yes, talking to thin air, casting Hurt More on the forest, I've done that before. And we've got Card going for a gold grind. And up to NG, I would imagine at this point, having now acquired the Erdrick's armor, wonder, is he looking for Charlotte Castle?
And it looks like Edge just picked up our GPS, so he's probably hoping to get her back all safe and sound.
So chat having a bit of a discussion regarding the gold grind glitch and some of the pros and cons of using such. Part of the reason why it's in here is so that way some of the high-end equipment is more easily accessible, so that way we're not turning this into a longer broadcast than Game 3 of the World Series this past weekend.
You're gonna have to hold back on those sports things. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, that was the longest postseason baseball game in history, as it went 18 innings, which is double the length of a regular baseball game, and lasted about 7 hours and 20 minutes.
And I was absolutely convinced that was a standard baseball game length, but that's a whole nother story.
No. Usually they're between 2.5 and 3 hours, sometimes 3.5. But no, this went 7 hours and 20 minutes, and that's we don't want to bring that to you. As much as we love bringing the action to you here, we also don't want to. We also don't want to be here all night necessarily. And we thank you, Randomania 3, for the raid.
And we are currently being. Oh. Sorry, I was going to say we're currently being called out on missing the fact that Card has started a dive on Charlock.
Oh, not necessarily called out, but yes, Nest Cardinality is in Charlock Castle. Now, given that he's only at level 13, I don't know if this is so much a dive to go for the Dragon Lord and game as much as it might be to get down to the basement to acquire Erdrick's sword. As here comes level 14 for Card.
I completely missed if there was any noteworthy gains on that last level.
Marginal. As we bring up the statistics here, that strength's still rather low at 76. So even if Erdrick's sword is acquired, or once it's acquired by Card, I should say, that'll move the attack power up to 116. Not quite ideal.
No, an 8-hit max would be a little rough.
And Busmaster noting, yes, as far as a long Dragon Warrior stream, you can check out Nest Cardinality, who actually just yesterday ran the vanilla versions of Dragon Warrior 1, 2, 3, and 4 in succession using the RNG manipulation, and I believe the stream lasted a little over 15 hours, if I recall.
I do believe that's correct, although the vanilla Dragon Warrior 1 portion is only about 25 minutes because of that craziness.
Yes, as you had seen featured earlier this year at AGDQ 2018. Nest Cardinality doing a fantastic job with that run. And up to NG, is trying to handle the Armored Knight, but dealing with sleep and other things here, but is able to take care of it. And JJ leaving Breckenary and heading on over to the, was heading over to the cave, and doubles back briefly, but now is back into the cave. I believe that is Swamp Cave South, based on the maneuvering in the dark. And Sukiya, yes, not to discredit High Spirits, because he had much more daunting challenge of running all of the first 9 Dragon Quest or Dragon Warriors in a specific order, but I think it was 1 through 4, then 9, 8, 7, 6, and 5, all right in a row, and that was something along the lines of, I think, 82 hours, if I remember right.
I thought it was 23, or was that just the first 4? Never mind.
Yeah, I think that was just the first 4. Yeah, all 9 was, yeah. I can't even imagine. Yeah, I think there may have been occasional just food breaks and nap breaks in between, but yeah, that is more than understandable. Because yeah, it would be deleterious to one's health to 87 hours, not 82. I think his estimate was 82, but ended up being about 87. But yeah, to be able to do that all straight with no sleep, that would be rather deleterious to one's health. So yeah, we want people to be healthy and not do anything too crazy.
And we have Edge Figaro clarifying the coordinates down there.
So that'll require a little bit of searching. Meanwhile, Card is traversing in the dark and has made it down to the last basement. So this is, if you haven't gotten your picks in the pyramid, now is the time to do so. I'm gonna go with middle left, since nobody seemed to have guessed that here. Wolfman, of course, going for the judges' table. I had written it down without you even, without even you being in here, because I knew that's where you were gonna go. And Skousen going with the top chest. A lot of love for the judges table or the vanilla chest, and also a pretty good amount of love for the top chest as well, but we will see momentarily. So here we go. Bottom right is Torch. Bottom middle is Dragon Scale. She's just going to make sure that he has put on. We've got a Torch in bottom left, not El Cheapo this time around. Middle left, that looks to be an herb. Top is the Fighter's Ring. That's going to add 2 attack points to the total. And the middle right is Erdrick's Sword. So Cyber Dark and Seedin, you've got the bragging rights this time around. Now, I want to note that the tracker has no way of tracking what is in what treasure chest, so it was a legitimate guess on Cyberdark's part.
It looks like we're being asked if there's going to be a post-game interview.
Looks like, yeah, there will be some interviews. We're gonna try not to make it run too late here, and try to handle things here as it looks like up to NG getting the excellent dodge, or the Kaishin Negata, as E-Tap noting here. And we've got level 15 for Card, all the spells in play, and Card's going to go ahead and cast outside. And perhaps going to heal everything up, and given the statistics that you see there, now the strength is there, it looks like it is go time for Card.
Yeah, those 2 levels plus the ring and the sword really help things out in the attack power.
Well, it looks like level 15 was the level to go to. As you can see, there was a 26 strength gain. To answer your question, no, this was not a very fast experienced seed. Level 6 did bring Hurtmore into the mix, so that certainly factored in. But yeah, the challenge was getting from 1 to 6, unless you were up to NG, who took out a Metal Slime pretty early on and vaulted up to 6 pretty quickly. But the middle part of the seed has certainly had its challenges, and that's allowed the rest of our runners to catch up. And it looks like in Card's case to take the lead.
And we've got Edge opening up the bridge with the rainbow drop into Charlock.
Building that bridge over troubled water. And, well, not exactly running into Simon or Garfunkel here in the Wizard.
If he had stop spell, I'd make a sound of silence joke, but didn't look like it.
Oh, very well done. Following right along with that there, Kit Kat. I appreciate it.
You finally hit the era I actually know a bit about.
Well, here's to you, Mrs. Robinson.
So I guess in this case it would be RN Jesus loves you more than you will know.
That is an excellent question, and chat making mention of the Greenleaf effect, or TGE, noted for his puns. But something tells me that if you were kept from being introduced to him, what a wonderful world it would be. All right, I think we've hit our quota on Simon and Garfunkel song puns. We can move on now. Meanwhile, Card, yes, has gotten slept and wrecked in trying to traverse back down through Sherlock Castle. The armored knights seem to be the troublesome enemy this time around, with Sleep and Hurtmore and packing a bunch too, hitting for a bunch. Actually, how quickly I confuse my enemies. The Red Dragon's the one with the Hurtmore. It's the Armored Knight with the Dragon Lord breath and Sleep. That wombo combo. And Game Boy, I just noticed that in chat. Thank you for throwing on the 50 Ways reference there from Simon in that particular reference. Now, we had mentioned earlier on about the Silver Shield and how well it helps here. You can see the difference of 89 defense points. That allowing our runners to withstand damage and what's called damage breaking, or defense breaking. When your defense points are the same as or higher than an enemy's strength, that's where a different attack range is calculated, resulting in less damage, and in some cases causing even a miss for 0 hit points. So at 89 defense, our runners are able to damage break 3 of the 10 enemies that can potentially appear in Sherlock. 4 actually, in the Wizard, the Star Wyvern, the Werewolf, and the Green Dragon. And we have a question in chat from Retro Grizzly Bear, which I wish I could provide the answer to, but I'm not that in-depth on the RNG manipulation and encounter rates and things of that nature, asking when you bonk against the wall, does it count as a space move for encounter RNG? Your guess is as good as mine. That would be probably more of a Card question.
Having watched a few of his RNG runs and knowing that bonks are resets most of the time in the King Room, I feel like it is. That would be
being said, Card is now back in Sherlock. And so too is Edge, but I believe is going to make a sword run here. So Card now in basement 5 of 7. The Great Path there. 6 is a short walk, but guarded by a red dragon, trying to spoil the party, but Card says, party this. Excellent move, out you go. So Edge heading on into the Sherlock Treasury, going to pick up the sword momentarily. And Card is close, and according to Delta Angel Fire, off-stream, Unos is, he just got the sword from the treasury and is heading toward the Dragon Lord. So is apparently a race on-stream here between Card and off-stream between Unos. And we'll see, we've got the Guardian mini-boss, and it is a red dragon. JJ, meanwhile, is in the mountain cave and going to pick up the 5 chests there. Just grab the death necklace, which doesn't look to come into play here in this particular seed. And Card is going to talk to the Dragon Lord and is going to decline the offer to share half the world, be called a fool, and we have our first on-stream Dragon Lord encounter. The Dragon Lord, the first form usually casting Hurt more. And Card dispatching of it, and here comes a back attack. So Card gonna have to heal from the outset. Still with 11 heal mores.
Good first hit there at 17.
Yeah, it's just slightly better than average, doing a range of anywhere from 11 to 22. There's a 15, we're up to 32. And able to get a double attack out of it. There's another 13 for 45. There's another 16, that's 61. Another 14 to make 75, so halfway there, or more than likely a little bit less. And there's another lower roll of 12, that puts us to 87. And there's 13, so we're an even 100 for Card. Still 5 heal mores left. There's a big 20 to go up to 120. Four heal mores left. There's another 18, so we're at 138. So the next attack theoretically could be the last one if the Dragon Lord has a low roll here. And 22 gets him 160, and that is going to do it for Nest Cardinality. We'll see here if there's any off-stream that will sneak in here, but we'll find out momentarily. And it looks like it is official, so get out your GGs for Nest Cardinality, who is going to finish not only here on stream, but finish the race overall in first place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 37 seconds. Meanwhile, we've got an Armored Knight taking out up to NG in Charlotte Castle. So a restart here in the, or at least starting from scratch back at the castle for up to NG. And Edge, meanwhile, is heading on through and runs into an Armored Knight in the first basement here. And we'll see, since, I was going to say, I'm not sure if Card knows that he was featured on here, but we'll see if he wants to join us for a post-race interview or not here. Meanwhile, our other runners off-stream, I know we've kind of sporadically mentioned them here, but Unos, as well as Smashy, Beta Strep, Tilo Tilo, Sparkover, Marth SR, Bobski, and WMD 88 are all racing off-stream. So 12 runners here, and Card finishing first out of the 12. So back to up to NG, running into...
You hear me?
Oh, we can hear you. Yes, we have our victor here, Ness Cardinality. Congrats and GG, good sir.
Thank you so much.
So, start this here. From what we saw on stream of the 4 featured runners, yourself, Up to NG, JJ, and Chico. Up to NG had taken out a Metal Slime and had gotten a pretty early lead in terms of experience. You were able to close in pretty quick for a little bit of a challenge getting level 2 and 3. And once Hurtmore came into play, it was off to the races.
I didn't see those metal slimes in that desert down below until I think it was about a half an hour in. I saw one, it ran away immediately. And I was instantly worried because I knew this was a seed where we started with money and keys. People were going to be desperately looking around for a town. And I was even more worried when I saw that the cave nearby was the swamp cave, because that could lead to, and of course it did lead to Brecconary, but I felt a little lucky there were no towns nearby with anything better than a copper sword. I just want to say, for the record, anyone who was watching me in that race, I'm sure you noticed my character was derping around all over the place. I was using a new USB controller. It's a piece of garbage. The D-pad is non-responsive, and I will never use it again. So that's what was happening, in case you were wondering.
Well, I hadn't exactly noticed it. I mean, maybe it was something with some of the navigations in the dark where I wasn't able to hear the infamous bonking, if there was any going on. But yeah, it wasn't something. I mean, maybe the audience had paid more attention to it, but that it definitely was out of my scope. That was for sure.
Yeah, just sometimes like in lit up places, like I would mean to go left and I'd go up instead. And then I'd have to, like, 2 squares up, then I'd have to go 2 squares down and back to the left. It was a big mess, but, you know, I made the best of it, and it probably only cost me a minute or so. And somebody in my chat told me that Unos was up against the Dragon Lord before I was, but that he had lost too much MP. So, yeah, I knew there were better ways for things to happen. This is an interesting seed. My exploration worked out well, but I couldn't find a weapon anywhere, and I knew that if Caitlin had a flame sword, I couldn't gold grind to go and get it. I had to try going for Erdrix instead, in case we needed a ton of levels. And all the grind spots were, you know, big fighting areas with no hurt more, so that's my little way of thinking for what happened with this seed.
Yeah, it was difficult to find a grind spot fairly early on. I mean, with the Red Dragon and Hawk's Nest, the Stone Man, the Swamp Cave, Hurtmore being predominantly available, but neither of those enemies were ideal to use Hurtmore on. That turned out to be a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I got Hurtmore, couldn't find anywhere to use it, and out of desperation, I went into Hawk's Nest knowing I wasn't gonna beat the Red Dragon, and I had to look at the zone, and sure enough, I got Spectres and then Druid Lords, and I was like, I have to stay here for like 2 levels, and I did.
And that was, we had actually noted in chat that even though Up to NG had taken out that Metal Slime early, I think it was Game Boy F9 who had noted that among the many things that you do well, it's efficient experience grinding. and that's what allowed you to catch up and eventually surpass and take lead.
I appreciate that. Yeah, this was, I wouldn't call it a hell seed, but I did lose my gold grind money to an armored knight just because they have sleep and Dragonlord breath. But other than that, it's not like red dragons were all over the map. Armored knights were the only point of contention, and that's what made Sharlock so interesting. We had another unique situation I've never seen before. Super high power, super low agility, and super high MP. And what this meant was, you know, I tried stop spelling the Armored Knight's first try, and it didn't work out because I didn't know what their resistance was on it on this seed. And when I got killed on the first floor, I said it's time to try idea number 2, and that was hurt-mooring them, and that turned out to be superior because we just had so much extra. It was like 60 extra MP or something, so that worked out, and I'm glad that I thought of it on the fly.
Yeah, very... Oh, it looks like we have a Smashy joining us as well. Smashy finishing in second here, just a hair under 3 minutes behind Card. Congratulations as well, and GG.
GG, congrats.
We also have a question in chat, which it almost seems like somebody's playing into my my wrestling storyline type thing here in terms of what I do off stream here. But a question from Retro Grizzly Bear in chat for Card. After your victory here, does this leave you more eager for a rematch against Game Boy F9? And if there's any message you'd like to send to him in advance of a rematch? I didn't realize it was a heavyweight boxing fight.
If Smashy's mic is working, I'm going to turn the floor over to him shortly, but I always look forward to playing everyone. I really hope Game Boy will want to play soon. He certainly seems to be available to be here for the Wednesday night races, so if he'd like to play sometime, I'm really looking forward to that. But, ultimately, I'm always just playing my own game, because, the goal is always to finish as quickly as possible. Except for, risk-taking, it's you gotta weigh high risk against reward. And usually, things like hurt-mooring the Dragonlord are too high risk, for example. So I try to, just play my own game and get as strong enough to beat the Dragonlord without hurt-moors. And whoever's in the race, it doesn't really change the way I play, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I like everyone to play, and I love that so many people enjoy this, and I definitely hope that Game Boy wants to play again soon.
Testing.
It sounds like we've got, we can hear you here, Smashy. Yeah, gotta love the audio challenges that tend to go with things here.
Yeah, the first thing I want to know is how all of our runners on stream got started, because I actually wound up going into Hawksness and finding the red slime to get level 2.
Well, there were a few. I'm trying to think back. I know that up to NG had encountered a metal slime at level 1 and was able to take that out to vault up to 6. Meanwhile, 2 of our runners here actually just finishing mere seconds apart from one another here. Up to NG taking 3rd with an official SRL time of 1 hour 39 minutes and 34 seconds. And Edge Figaro taking 4th just 13 seconds later at 1:39:47.
And it looks like chat is telling us WMZ88 has just finished 5th at 1:40:36.
The finish is coming fast and furious here.
I can help with Smashy's question, by the way. I actually found red slimes on the overworld. It took a while. I was seeing a bunch of ghosts first, but I found one in the first zone, and I fought those until level 3, and then I started branching out.
Yeah, I just dove into Hawks after I only saw one metal slime and about 80 million ghosts. And then for level 2, I just found a Magidrake, had a couple of herbs ground up from the treasury, and managed to fight that down, and that's when you got hurt and could start taking stuff on. I actually knew I was way behind because I took forever to get going, so I actually took a risk, went back in the not Sharlock, Hawksness, and actually at level 4 or something took down a Druid Lord with the hurt spell, which helped catch me back up.
Yeah, there were a lot of delicious options for. I mean, herd always changes everything. I saw a lot of Magidrakes in the first zone too, and before I found the first zone, I was looking like southwest and southeast, and I kept finding metal scorpions and stuff like that. So, but when I finally went north, yeah, then I started seeing the Magidrakes, and it was all herd go go go.
Yeah, and then once you got hurt more, I was just wandering around the map getting experience like crazy because I kept running into like these mid-tier monsters that were real good targets. And I managed I never found Garen's grave, but I did find Cantlin pretty soon, so I think that's what vaulted me ahead, just not getting caught in the Garen's grave trap.
Yeah, Cantlin and the mountain cave were the last two things I needed to find. It was nice that they were together. The grave was just north of Sharlock, over the water that was north there, and I went into the grave because I didn't have the sword, and it wasn't too bad because I actually found good enemies. But yeah, that's what happened.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Up to NG joining us here as well. Congratulations on third place, GG.
Yeah, thank you. Interesting seed there. I'm a little salty about how it finished up for me, but started off really well, so I guess it balances out.
Yeah, the start was interesting in that, well, you had, you had taken out that metal slime pretty early on, and there were a lot of people who were trying to call the seed there, and I'm like, no, too many crazy things can happen that can turn things around. And the middle part of the game, it seemed like the armored knights they had it out for you.
Yeah, that was definitely one enemy that was a problem. I guess I should have tried Stop Spell a little more. I never really tried that by the time I was fighting them. I was just trying to, force my way through them. My major problem, and I have no idea how it happened, is that I could not find Sharlock to save my life. And it was just like right in the middle of the map, not very far away. It was crazy. I was looking for it for like 20 minutes.
Just circling all around it, and it just happened to be right in the middle, one of those type things.
Yeah, when I finally found it, I was like, how could I have not seen that before? It was like right there. I have no idea how that happened. It was so weird. Just couldn't find it, and I was just watching the clock just like disappear on me. It was like, oh, great. The way the seed started, I tried to carry the gold to that town, so I was a little worried that I was spending too long trying to do that. And then in those efforts trying to do that, I bumped into a metal slime, so that kind of saved my start. And yeah, things went kind of okay, I guess, throughout the seed. And I just, for whatever reason, I couldn't find Sharlock. That was so weird.
Yeah, I had a bit of a mapping fail myself involving the coordinates. I had the coordinates from a previous race up, so I kind of just overwrote them. Except I forgot to replace the east with west. So I'm up there. I didn't get the princess, so I'm up there searching everywhere, trying to find that item. And turns out I was 6 spaces away from it. And that just wasted a bunch of time.
I had nearly the exact same problem, but I was south instead of north.
Oh, Edge Figure joining us. Yeah, we were wondering about that. We thought, well, he's heading south and searching around there, and my thought process was, oh no, did he go 37 south instead of 37 north?
Yep, I checked my notes, and I'm like, 37 south, 3 west. This is the spot. Why isn't it here? And I had to walk all the way back to Cantlin to look at the coordinates again. GG, everybody.
Well, I had gotten the princess earlier, so I already had it, and I was glad I did. If Smashy, if you counted that out somehow, I'm impressed. Like, it seemed like it was not countable.
I half counted, half spammed.
I mean, the swamp cave wasn't far away or anything. I don't know. While I was going through there exploring on one of my trips through, I just got the princess just earlier, but if you didn't have her, it wasn't that hard to get her. I don't know. I had thought it was even harder to get to. I had to gone all the way to the west edge where, I think what it was, a mountain cave was way over there. I thought that was going to wrap all the way around. to get back to the 37 North. I hadn't seen, there was like an intermediate way that wrapped around. There was a lot of wrapping around on that map. That was not a good map for me.
Yeah, I had been up there earlier, so I kind of figured it was up where it was, and you could just barely see the southern end of that area from the northern end of the start, so that's why I used to kind of link them together and get the count without the princess. I probably should have saved her, but, well, a little bit fun to have a challenge in counting it without the princess.
Yeah, I can't even remember much of what happened in the seed anymore. It was, you know, for me, I got the metal slime, so I heard he had hurt more right off the bat. So there wasn't a lot of messing around in the beginning. And then, I guess I hadn't yet found, unfortunately I hadn't found the sword, but I had several chests I hadn't opened, and I decided I wanted to try and get the search spots out of the way. I tried the red dragon at like level 11, but we didn't have stop spell yet, and I didn't have the armor yet, so that didn't work out. But as soon as I got to 12, I went into Hawksness, and so that it would have saved me some trips into dungeons, but I didn't have the sword yet, so I ended up diving those dungeons anyways.
Yeah, I wound up picking up a broadsword at Cantland. That really helped to just take down that red dragon, and fight my way down for a ton of experience in Sharlock. And that's
I did that too. I had broadsword really pretty late. Like I couldn't find any good weapons anywhere. I was looking out, even if there was a flame sword, I just blanked out on where it was, because I was looking around for weapons and I didn't see much. So I had done actually the level 1 gold grind, and one of the towns that I eventually found had a silver shield, so I had that really fast. And then I never did another grind. Like I couldn't find any weapons. I couldn't find a flame sword that was worth grinding for. I don't know. It's weird. So yeah, we were kind of like weaponless. I had a club for a really long time. Fortunately, we had a kind of a early hurt more, so it wasn't too bad.
All right, just some other finish updates as we've been going along here. So WMD 88 finishing in 5th with a time of 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 36 seconds. Unos in 6th with 142.34. Beta Strep taking 7th for 144.18. Our 4th featured runner here, JJ Schmidt 77 in 8th place at 146.17. And Tilo taking 9th with 147.59. And looks like Marth SR has issued a forfeit, so just 2 runners left, Sparkover and Bobski.
Yeah, there's at least one more runner in the chat that is saying that he's salty about the seed. I was kind of salty myself, so I can totally understand. Sometimes certain ways that the seed kind of rolls out for you just makes you like just really frustrated and annoyed. So there's lots of different experiences you can have with this randomizer.
I was frustrated enough to switch to a MP agility build.
Oh wow, that is a bold move.
I immediately find red slimes and metal slimes after, like, I switched at like the 20-minute mark because I'd gotten 0 experience.
Wow.
And all of a sudden everything falls into place, and it's like go go go. If I had the same start on my first, I would have been done in 1 hour and 10. But
yeah, giving up the strength in your build is really, it's got to be just the right situation, because that'll often cost you a couple of levels. But we had a huge strength gain at the end, so it probably didn't end up mattering. I think we all probably went on the same level.
I could go in at 15 just fine because of that 23 strength gain that I got.
So that's fortunate for that build.
And I think it was a mistake. I think it was a mistake to do that, but I was frustrated enough to be desperate at that point.
Well, something must have worked out. You finished fairly well in this race as well. I'm glad all the featured runners seem to do pretty well. So that's not bad. I saw Nest Cardinality got a really good time. I'll be interested to see how he navigated things. It sounded like he had more of a traditional start where he was just grinding the first few levels on early enemies.
Yeah, if you find the red slime in the overworld, it took a bit of doing to find that. But once I found that, I'm like, I just erased my old save. I've got a new save, and here's this red slime that I never found for 20 minutes. I was irritated.
I had seen one red slime. I was running around looking for a town, so I didn't end up fighting it. And but I did kind of know it was there in the back of my mind if I really needed it. So it wasn't as bad as I guess it could have been for like with some other people. But yeah, I was trying to carry a bunch of gold to a town, and that was kind of ambitious. But yeah, sometimes in multi-way race like this, you kind of want to take chances like that. If it works out, then you have a better shot to finish really high because so many opponents. Somebody's going to get lucky.
Yeah, my risk was searching the Hawksness zone, and that had red slimes, and that was my level 2.
Let's see. WMD noting in chat, they had found a metal slime really fast, made the seed not really bad at all for him, but I guess that's all relative.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting this seed to see how many Hawksness grinds we had pretty early on.
People were grinding Hawksness. That's interesting. I could not kill that red dragon until level 12, and by then I felt like I just had too many things to go do. So I never ended up doing an actual grind at all.
Yeah, I was just looking for fights in Hawksness, and there were red slimes and there were magicians in there, and I wound up getting 3 red slimes for my first level, and then I'd stockpile some herbs to take out a Magidrake on level 2, and that's what got me going finally.
Oh, an early Hawksness grind she was talking about. Okay, I get you. Yeah, that is kind of interesting. I would have never thought of that.
I went in and I found a specter and a magician. I'm like, I can't do this. Then I stopped looking there.
Yeah, Smashy, I had a lot of weird stuff going on in the beginning too. I did a lot of that revisiting the room to build up herbs and stuff like that too. So yeah, that was kind of unusual to having to try and do that. But yeah, I was always wondering if things like that were just costing me time or if it was like really worthwhile.
Yeah, I was thinking someone had just ground up a bunch of herbs, and I had seen Drakeys around, so I was thinking someone maybe just ground up a bunch of herbs and tried to get a crit on Drakey to kind of get them going, but from the looks of it...
5, I think we were. Strength 5 against a Drakey is one of those super bad ones. So that would be rough. You'd better off fighting a ghost at that point, in my opinion. But
well, not these ghosts.
Yeah. Depends on the ghost, I suppose.
From the sounds of it, it seems like I was just overthinking how far behind it was, and it was indeed everybody was having this problem. Instead of just,
I got a metal slime, so I think I was ahead of you guys. But yeah, if you didn't get a metal slime, you were probably behind.
Yeah, we definitely saw that you had quite the level lead there for a little while with that 6 or 5 level jump off the metal slide.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be helpful. And then, looking in my spell slot, of course, Hurt More was there. So, if it happened to be like level 5 or 6 Hurt More, then that was going to give me a nice edge. And there's no way to know that. If everybody got it at level 2, then it wouldn't have been such a big deal. But yeah, it seemed like that was a good start for me. And then a lot of things having to do with exploring the map just really slowed me down. And finally, even not finding Charlock was just devastating.
Yeah, I was actually in go mode and had not found Charlock yet. And I just kind of made the right move and found Charlock instantly. And from there, the rest is history.